What's up guys, today I'll be critiquing Irixu's average of 5 anyways. Scramble video reconstructions in the description, so yeah, we'll just get started. And by the way, if you want to get a critique, simply just tell me in the comments and I'll upload a solve video. Make sure you reconstruct the solves and you put them in the description and I'll critique you. So anyways, x2y, d to move this crossed over, r b prime to insert blue, and then r2 prime to insert this, and then d f2. So yeah, the cross is pretty good. It's basically what I would have done. So good job. But what I would have done if I considered first pair, like if I didn't consider first pair, then yeah, the cross itself is fine. But if you look at first pair and you're at the level where you should be playing first pair, you can do basically the same start. So D, except from this angle, so D, B, L prime, B2. And then here, instead of doing D, R2, you cancel into this pair. So you do D, R, U, R, like so. Which pairs it up? And even J-Prim showed this in one of his videos. So he basically showed a lot of triggers that you can do before F2L to make a free pair, basically. And this was one of them. All you do is just you cancel into this pair. But anyways, what you did was fine. It's just that if you factor in cross plus 1, you could have done something different. But anyways, you had this pair, right? So U2, RUR prime, and U, Y prime, U, RUR prime. So instead of doing that, you could have done RUR prime and then U2Y prime instead of UY prime U, and then insert the pair. And personally, I would have done a fat F R fat F prime because it would give you these oriented pairs and also solves the rotationless, while if you do it from this angle, these pairs you'd have to rotate for them. And that's what I mean by oriented and not oriented. Oriented means the edge is connected with this. You probably already know that. This one is also can be connected with this, and if it's flipped the other way, it wouldn't be able to connect with that. Anyways, you did this. Then for this pair, you did U2R, U2R prime to pair it up, and then insert with R prime from R. So what you could have done here is a U and then Y prime, R, U2, R prime from R, since this slot was empty. Note that it's usually better to rotate at the start of a pair rather than at the middle of a pair, and that's what you did. So be sure to rotate first, as it normally gives you a better solution. Anyways, you did this. Then for this pair, you rotated R prime U from R U to R prime U R. So it's better to do U R prime U to R. Make sure that you do U R prime U to R for basically every F2L case that can be paired up. And then do U to R prime U R. So for like this case, this case, this case for last slot. Yeah, there's a few more, but you know what I mean. So you had this pair, and you did it with U2R prime UR. Here, you rotated and you paired it up like that, but you should have done a sledgehammer so you get all your edges. But you just inserted and got the solo. Also, something else you could have done is FR U2R prime UF prime, like that. So F, pair up this pair, and then U, F prime to insert. So you paired up and then insert. But what you did was fine. And then you had the solo, so you could have done it from this angle. The alg itself is actually better too. But you did it from the back, which is a little bit worse. And you also had the AOF at the beginning. It is ideal to use both though, so. And then you had the solo. Sorry, this PLL. And then AOF. So that was pretty much fine for the PLL. Let's see what you did for the second solve. I guess rolling R2, like, pretty sure I talked to you about this very long time ago. A very long time ago, but about the rolling R2, but doesn't matter that much. You had pre-AOF anyway. Although you did do the U2 and not the U2 prime. Second solve. D2, L to insert these two. Okay, that's fine. And you did B prime like that to move it over here, so you can do D prime F to insert this cross edge, and then R to insert this one. Here you could have canceled into this one, so U prime R, and then you can just do first pair, which is a free pair, but you didn't see that. You don't seem to really plan cross plus one, and if you do, you're not like prioritizing which pair you should be doing. So if you haven't started planning cross plus one, you should, because you average like 8 to 9. Remember, I'm faster than you frame count, so we both average. Okay, that joke is not good anymore. Okay, R prime, F prime, D, B. So what I want to show is, instead of doing B prime, D prime, F, R, D, you can just do D prime, U2, F, R prime, like that. So basically, you do a D prime, move this cross edge over, and then you insert with F, R prime. Anyways, what you did isn't bad either. And then you solve this pair by rotating, which you don't have to rotate for. You can do R prime, U from R, U2, L, U, L prime. Or you can do U, R prime, U, R, L, U, L prime. Or you can just do R prime, U prime, R, and then L, U prime, L prime. All of them are fine, and they're better than rotating, but you rotated and did this. This is good for this angle, but I wouldn't really recommend it if it's not at that angle. Also, if it was me, I would have just canceled into this pair. It's pretty easy to see. I would have just done that. But instead, you did U prime, R, U prime, R prime, and you put it up like that. Just isn't that good. I wouldn't even use this solution unless it cancels, and in this case it does. But it's less practical, and the actual best solution to do is L prime, U, L2, U, L prime. It's 5 moves, and it's RUL. Well, no, it's 2 gen instead of RUL. Wow, this is RUL. Anyways, yeah, you should have done that, but you did this. Next, you did U, U. Okay, could have done a double click there, and then you did R, U to R prime, U, R, U prime, R prime. Solution is fine here. Although you might want to experiment with doing R prime, FR, and then do F2 gen F prime case. You're at the level where it might be helpful. But anyways, you inserted the pair normally, and then you got this pair. So just pair it up and then insert, which is fine. And then you got this OLL. So OLL-CP is this. Hold up, that's not the right L. The real problem with OLL-CP. Insert sad violin music. But anyways, the alg is actually F, U, R2, D, R prime, B prime, R, D prime, R prime, F prime. And it would give you an RSU prime, although you probably wouldn't do that. Not that matters. Anyways, you had the Soonfruoff, and then you did T prime. And you did T prime. So yeah, that's pretty good. And solve number 3. X2. Okay, you did S moves here. Nice. And use them in a good way, which is good. There are times where people don't use them in a good way, and you can literally just do something better. Anyways, U, R prime, F to insert these 2 cross edges, and then L to insert this one, D2, F prime to insert this, and then align. So that's basically what I would have done. It's one of the first solutions that I saw when I looked at the cross. So yeah, we seem to think in a similar way when we're doing cross, which is nice. The only thing that I would have done differently is R prime, FL, D2, F prime, and here I just cancel into this pair, so probably insert it like that, and then do a D, and that gives me a nice continuation. Look at all those good pairs. Anyways, just did a D. and then you solved this pair. Okay, that's good. And then you solve this pair over here, pair it up with L prime U2L, then insert with L prime UL, good. And that also preserves this pair, so you inserted it like that. And then here, this is where you could have done a solution that preserved EO, but you did R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U, R prime, U prime, R, which gave you a dot, which is kind of sad. If you just did a U move before that, it wouldn't have. But anyways, the solution you should be actually using is F prime, L prime, U2L, F, or U R prime. And ideally, you would insert a U move before so you get all your edges. And basically, when it's this case, it's facing towards you, right, the corner. You would have to put the edge on the left. And you do that. It would give you all your edges. You could technically also do an L move before, so water U prime, U2 water U water prime. And it's really just L and then F prime, L prime, U2 L, F, L prime, water prime. Well, yeah. I'm gonna just undo that. There. So the OLL that you did, you got that dot, and the dot that you got, you can just do this alg. Hold up, I'm trying to set it up. I'll just do the boomer setup. So anyways, you got this OLL, right? You did the alg, and then you did a U2 prime. Here you could have done an M move, and I would have just done a U2 into the left EM move like that, right? And if you can't do left EM, it's not a big deal, but you should still try to do right EM, since it still works. And you do U, R, U prime, water prime. Not completely necessary though, since there's a few other algorithms. So the alg I like, FS prime, RU prime, R prime, S, RU2 R prime, U prime, F prime. And you might not be able to do that well at first, but after practice, it would become easier. There are algs that are just plain easier, which you might also want to try. So instead of doing that alg, there's an alg that supports right EM prime pretty well. You have it from this angle, and you do water prime, U prime, R, U, M prime, U prime, R2 prime, F, R, F prime, U, R. So this one's pretty good, and I'd say it's better than the alg that you did, and it also supports right EM, since you can just do right EM and it would work well too. And for PLL, you got a G perm followed by U prime AOF, so you got a GD perm. Alright, so third solve was pretty good, and now we have the fourth one, 9.43, C2. Okay, insert this cross edge, F prime to insert this cross edge, L to insert this one, and then D prime followed by an R2. Okay, so your cross solutions look very good every single time. It's just that you're not planning first pair, and you should. At least it appears that you're not planning first pair. Because you can literally just notice this edge, and it's already oriented, and not a single move of the cross affects this edge. So, that's what I'm thinking. But anyways, you did that. Oh, and it apparently was the pair that you were doing, but you could have just done R, U prime R, L prime UL. If you planned it in inspection, but you didn't, and you did a rotation, which isn't necessary, then you rotate again, which also isn't necessary. Anyway, storage ran out, so you insert this pair, right? And here you could have canceled into this one, which you haven't seen. So it appears that you don't really look ahead into the other pairs, at least. Not that soon, I guess. Also, please don't roast me about having bad look ahead. My look ahead isn't even that bad. And I would have seen that pretty easily. Please don't roast me. So you do this, right? Okay, y2, u2 prime. Okay, so you basically had the same case. Not sure why you did a y2. I mean, it's a hesitation, right? So you could have just done a y prime into this. Or from this angle, f, u2, r, u prime, r prime, u f prime, which actually pairs this pair up, which is nice. And you could have also just solved this pair first, but you rotated and did a y2, paired it up, and then rotate, insert like that. And you got the same case again. Damn, you got the same case twice. From here, you could have also inserted maybe like that. It would look like this. But honestly, the best solution to solve a rotational from this angle is f, r, u, r prime, u prime, r, f prime. And with this slot free, you can do r, u, r prime, u, s, r prime, s prime. And you did use an s, r prime, s prime trick, so why not learn this one as well? So you insert it, and then you do the SRS. Anyways, you did this, and you got the same case again. Once again, you could have done a rotationalist. Doesn't matter too much though, since rotating is almost just as good. Okay, you did this all, and here's an interesting finger trick that you might want to try out. So you could do RM at the same time with your left index. So you move it slightly over there, and you do that. U, R prime, U, R, U, R prime, the rest of the same. So yeah, it's pretty nice. You probably already know about the S-slice algorithm, so S soon, U2 S prime, which would actually give you a PLL skip, so yeah. It would actually give you a PLL skip. Anyways, you did this, and then a Z perm. So, cool. Also try the zoomer Z perm, but for that angle, that Z perm is fine. I tend to use both the zoomer Z perm and that Z perm that you just did. By zoomer Z perm, I mean the one that's in my CPOT video. It's been called that since it was popularized, so. Last solve. X2, Y prime, okay. R prime to into this cross edge, F prime, D prime, L prime, R prime, D prime, R2. What? The real problem with critiquing. Storage runs out twice. You have to film it multiple times. Don't worry. I will edit this out. So anyways, X2, Y prime, R prime, F prime, D prime, L prime, R prime, D prime, R2, D prime. Okay. Let's see what that is. What it is, sorry. It's kind of hard to follow, honestly. So you do R prime, right, that insert this one, F prime, D prime, L prime, okay, L prime insert this one, then R prime, D prime, R2, D prime. Okay. You could have just went for something that's more simple and that would actually work out more effectively. So something more simple, I'd say. Yeah, you can also get a first pair. That's pretty nice. So I just do it from this angle, same angle, F2, U, L to this cross edge, and it also sets up this. So F prime like that. And then here you do the D, L2, and then insert with the D2. But yeah. Anyways, what you did wasn't too bad, but it just didn't seem that intuitive, honestly. And it's also pretty long. This is the only time where your cross solution isn't that good, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. It's mainly, you just gotta plan your first pair And also maybe look at your second pair since you're at the level where you should probably do that. Anyways, and you did a Y2, so that tells me you didn't plan first pair. And you rotate. So, sorry, my throat is a little bit dry. Been filming for a long time. Anyways, you can just do something like F, U2, R, U, R prime, U, F prime from this angle. Or just pair it up and insert with F moves. But you rotate it twice, okay? And from here, you can also do a fat F, R, fat F prime. But you rotate it here. This pair, so might want to check out JSS, though isn't really necessary. It does help though. So basically you do R prime, F, R, and in this case you want to orient this edge, so you do R prime, U2, F, R to orient it. Gives a free pair, and then you can cancel into that one. Well, whatever. If it's too advanced, then if it's too advanced for you to understand what I'm doing, it's fine because you don't really need to learn it. It's not necessary. If you really want to, though, I can make a video explaining it, like a video that's just for you. Okay, R prime from R to pair it up. Rotate into like so. You could have just rotated first and do LUL prime, UL prime, which would be better. Once again, rotating first is better than rotating last, rather in the middle. There's also rotational solutions, but I wouldn't say they're really worth it, so better to just rotate and either do this or pair it with L, U prime, L prime, U prime, L, U, L prime. Oh, and you would get a pretty nice, well, skip trick, but besides the point. So here you did R prime from R, U2, L, U, L prime, and then you had this pair, so triple inverse XE, OL, excuse my finger tricks, and then you do, let me do it without missing, and then you do an A perm, which you did wide L, U prime R. Okay, so yeah, nice. This took way too long to film. I had to make multiple attempts, and yeah, I will still have to edit out some hesitations. Anyways, basically, cross is fine, but you have to plan first pair and make sure you're picking a good pair. So there was that one solve where the whole cross didn't affect the F12 edge. So there was an edge over here, and every single move that you did in cross did not affect that piece. So you should have looked out for that piece, since it would have made a very easy planning. But anyways, F2L, it's basically efficient. It's just that you rotate a lot when it's not necessary. And you should also learn some slightly advanced F2L tricks, which you already have. For example, this one, you already have learned it. But there's quite a couple of extras that you could also try learning. And OLL and PLL, they seem to be fine, except for that one time where you did that, and it doesn't even matter that much. Doing this is fine. But yeah, make sure to watch my full C-pop video, which is in the description. Also was my channel trailer for a long time. I will make it my channel trailer again once the giveaway ends. But yeah, thanks for watching.